I'm Katie Couric. Also tonight, taxpayers getting squeezed again. This time by the grape industry. We'll follow your money, millions of dollars, to wine country.
I'd be glad to take some of your questions.
But whose questions? The FEMA news conference, complete with fake reporters. And Steve Hartman's Assignment America. What do you call that thing you do if you see another kid choking?
He did the Heimlich maneuver.
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Good evening, everyone. It's been a harrowing week in Southern California, but tonight firefighters are continuing to make progress against those wildfires, and thousands of evacuees are returning home. Qualcomm Stadium in San Diego was closed today as an evacuation center. The Chargers will play football there on Sunday, but the danger is not over. 14 major fires are still burning out of control, and 9 of them have not yet been contained, including the Santiago fire in Orange County, which authorities believe is arson. The reward for information is up to $250,000. The largest, the Witch Fire in San Diego County, is expected to be contained by Sunday. In all, 772 square miles have burned, an area half the size of Rhode Island. 1,800 homes destroyed. Today, those who still have roofs over their heads counted their blessings. Here's Dean Reynolds.
Here's what it's like when a wildfire lands at your door.
Oh, God, help me.
This was Monday morning in Escondido.
Oh, shoot.
Nick Infantides and his brother John were fighting off the flames.
Is there any fire? Straight down. I see a lot of smoke. Oh, it's going to be a close call, bro. Oh, shoot.
For hours, they held their ground until the firemen responded to their calls for help. And after they located the hydrants for the out-of-town crew, they battled the blaze with them. Because their homes occupied the ridgeline over the San Pasqual Valley, they were the first line of defense for the whole neighborhood. They saved all but one home. This morning, John recalled those harrowing hours.
Had you left, your house would be gone.
Had we left, the house would have been gone, and the neighborhood would have been as well under siege.
But not every neighborhood was as lucky. In Rancho Bernardo today, families dug through the rubble, sifting the soot for anything of value. Visit Bobby Davis's house and you need a vivid imagination.
Where was the front door?
In here. This is the living room over here, because this right here was the garage. It was a high ceiling, not this high, but...
Bobby and so many others in Southern California are being assisted by a relief effort that is almost military in its precision. There are parking attendants lining cars in neat rows outside the relief center here. Insurance adjusters are on the job. FEMA is here. Utility crews are restoring power. There's water for the pooch and even ATMs without fees. Back in Escondido, John Infantides surveyed his backyard and is still standing home. Yes, he violated the mandatory evacuation order, but for what he believes were the right reasons.
The firemen were overwhelmed,
Yeah.
and somebody needed to be their eyes on the ground, and that's what we provided.
The sense here is that the immediate danger has passed, but the people of Southern California are well aware of what could happen if those winds come howling up the mountain once again. Katie?
Dean Reynolds. Dean, thank you. Early estimates of the fire damage top $1 billion in San Diego County alone. An army of claims adjusters has fanned out across Southern California. Insurance in a fire zone is a risky business for the companies, but especially for the homeowners. John Blackstone has more.
The smoke had barely cleared when insurance adjuster Dan Gill began working on claims.
This house is a total loss.
He's part of an army from every major insurance company that moved quickly into Southern California, even handing out some early checks.
Linda Garrison, Stephen Martin.
Consumer advocates say the industry's initial response to disaster is usually good, but that can change.
As you get further away from the disaster, the insurance companies seem to get tighter and tighter, and they squeeze harder and harder.
From wildfires to landslides to earthquakes, insurance companies face plenty of risks in California. Still, the state's huge population has given companies $6 to $7 billion in profits in the last 3 years. And nationally, the industry made nearly $65 billion last year alone. But there have also been some record payouts. Hurricane Katrina, $42 billion. Hurricane Andrew, $22 billion. The World Trade Center, $21 billion. The Northridge earthquake, $17 billion. Compared to that, the estimates for the Southern California fires are barely a blip. So even if the insurance companies had to pay $1 or even $2 billion for these fires, they'd still be making money.
There's plenty of money in the insurance companies' coffers here in California to cover these claims and still be walking away with several $billion in profits.
In the end, all those billions come down to individuals depending on insurance to make things right. And disasters like this remind everyone, everywhere, to check their coverage, because the worst can happen. John Blackstone, CBS News, Malibu.
Overseas now, tensions are running high along the Turkey-Iraq border tonight. Turkey demanded that Iraq hand over Kurdish rebel leaders and attacked rebel positions from the air. The U.S., meanwhile, is getting ready to help the Turkish forces. Our national security correspondent David Martin has this exclusive report.
The Pentagon plan would use reconnaissance aircraft to spy for the Turkish military in its cross-border war against terrorists in northern Iraq. Until now, the U.S. military, which has its hands full in other parts of Iraq, has done its best to ignore those terrorists, known as the PKK.
I don't track the specific locations of the PKK.
That from the U.S. commander in northern Iraq, who had this to say when asked if he was planning any military operations against the PKK.
Absolutely nothing.
Turkey is already launching air and artillery strikes into northern Iraq, but that has not stopped the PKK from taking 8 Turkish soldiers hostage. Stephen Cook of the Council on Foreign Relations warns if the PKK strikes again, Turkey could send 60 to 100,000 troops into northern Iraq.
We're probably one attack away from this becoming a nightmare scenario.
Senior Pentagon officials say reconnaissance aircraft like the Predator would help Turkey launch accurate attacks against the PKK without resorting to a full-scale invasion.
U.S. intelligence would help them should they bring in small groups of special forces, helicopter-borne forces to strike directly at those camps rather than surging tens of thousands of troops across the border.
The planning has just begun, but it will be completed by the time Turkey's prime minister meets with President Bush 10 days from now. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
Tensions over Iran's nuclear program are helping to send world oil prices to new highs. Oil rose $1.40 today to close at a record $91.86 a barrel. Oil is up more than $3 for the week. Meanwhile, the price of homes is heading in the other direction, down. It's the law of supply and demand. Too many homes, nearly 4.5 million on the market right now, and too few buyers. Now, as Anthony Mason reports tonight, some sellers are getting themselves professional help.
When the Albert family put their Massachusetts home up for sale, they were looking for an extra edge in a bad market. So they called in Fred Light, who for a couple $100 will make a movie of your house for the internet.
This amazing kitchen features everything for the gourmet cook.
In this housing slump, Light has seen his business soar.
You have a lot of competition, so you've got to be able to catch people's eye quickly and with something that's a little different.
The latest housing numbers show not only are sales of existing homes down 19% from a year ago, but the median price is also plummeting from $229,000 in June to $211,000 last month.
It's been very hard to sort of calibrate how bad it was going to get, and clearly it has got worse than most of us expected it to.
And the pain continues to spread from borrowers who've lost their homes to the banks. Countrywide, the nation's largest mortgage lender, today reported a $1.2 billion loss for the past quarter. Bank of America announced 3,000 layoffs this week. And Merrill Lynch, the nation's biggest brokerage, disclosed almost $8 billion in mortgage-related losses.
The Merrill loss is probably one of the largest in Wall Street history, without a doubt.
So many expect the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates again when it meets next week to try to keep the housing troubles from tipping the entire economy into a recession.
Center island in the kitchen, granite counters.
But as the slump deepens, sellers will have to get creative.
It's like everything else, you have to stand out.
Because no one's sure just how this movie is going to end.
Welcome home.
Anthony Mason, CBS News, New York.
And there's much more CBS News ahead, including a 9-year-old hero in Steve Hartman's Assignment America. But up next, a story about grapes that's sure to earn the wrath of taxpayers. Our Follow the Money report in a moment. The federal government spends millions of your tax dollars every year on scientific research. Now, investigative correspondent Cheryl Atkinson has discovered that some of that money has been earmarked to study the grape. Tonight, Cheryl follows the money.
These federal scientists aren't researching a cure for cancer. Their discoveries are meant to help the grape and wine industry. And your tax dollars are about to provide them with a brand new state-of-the-art facility, the Center for Grape Research, to be built here in the heart of New York's Finger Lake wine country. Congress has earmarked more than $11 million so far for the building and hundreds of thousands more for research, not to be confused with the $2.6 million they've earmarked to study grapes out in California. It's not as if Uncle Sam wasn't already investing millions a year in grape research. There are 25 full-time federal scientists working on nothing but grapes. But the special research earmarks are extra tax dollars added on top of that by individual members of Congress. Some of them seen here at a meeting of the House Wine Caucus, including Congressman Maurice Hinchey, a driving force behind the New York Grape Center. He proudly defends earmarking millions of your tax dollars for the project in his home state.
So when you have a Congress, and particularly an executive branch, that is not dealing adequately with the internal needs of the country, I'm going to try to step in and meet those needs as best I can.
The Grape Research Center is not in the same category as roads and bridges and basic needs.
Well, it is. It's part of basic needs because it's part of the basic infrastructure of the nation.
It's become a zero-sum game in which every earmark takes away some money from competitive programs.
Kei Koizumi represents the American Association for the Advancement of Science. He says researchers worry that politicians, not scientists, are determining how research tax dollars are spent.
Well, the research dollars tend to go to the states or districts of powerful politicians who sit on the money committees of Congress.
Congressman Hinchey sits on the powerful House Spending Committee called Appropriations and says the cost of the grape building is negligible.
Cost of this building is what we spend in Iraq in 2 hours.
But if you compare anything to the cost of the war in Iraq, you can make it sound very tiny.
Well, it is tiny. It's tiny in comparison to what we're spending in a wasteful way.
Those tiny earmarks add up. $6 million to research new uses for wood, millions more for an Appalachian fruit lab, hundreds of thousands for potato breeding, and millions to study animal waste. Do you have any idea what the total number of research earmarks was last year?
Offhand, I don't know what the total number is, but
$2.6 billion.
Research earmarks, $2.6 billion is not nearly enough.
Which is a pretty good indication there's much more to come, and it better come fast. Wine may improve with age, but the Grape Research Center just gets more costly. What began as a $20 million project is now closing in on $30 million, and the first brick hasn't even been laid. Cheryl Atkinson, CBS News, Washington.
In a controversial legal case, the Georgia Supreme Court has righted what many thought was an egregious wrong. It ordered 21-year-old Janarlo Wilson freed from prison. The court said Wilson's 10-year sentence for having consensual oral sex with a 15-year-old girl when he was 17 amounted to cruel and unusual punishment. The justices ordered a lower court to reverse Wilson's conviction on aggravated child molestation charges. Meanwhile, up in space, a little home improvement today. 2 of the shuttle astronauts attached an addition to the space station. The new section, called Harmony, is about the size of a school bus and is part of a huge expansion project to be completed on later missions. Today's spacewalk was the first of 5 for the shuttle crew. When we come back to the California wildfires and FEMA's phony news conference. Just who was asking the questions?
We've just concluded.
FEMA was forced to apologize today for misleading reporters who are covering the California wildfires. The Department of Homeland Security described what FEMA did as, quote, inexcusable. As Jeff Greenfield reports, it took the press out of press conference.
In San Diego, we've seen evacuations.
I also want to implore...
All this week, officials in California were meeting with the press to answer questions about the wildfires.
All the local agencies responding.
On Tuesday, a continent away, in deepest Washington, D.C., FEMA's Deputy Administrator, Vice Admiral Harvey Johnson, held his own news briefing to tout the success of the agency's first post-Katrina challenge.
I think we have a good team coming together, so I'd be glad to take some of your questions.
Well, of course he was happy to answer questions. Know why? Because the questions weren't being asked by real reporters. The briefing was held on 15 minutes' notice. The press couldn't get there. So these questions, they were all being asked by people who worked for FEMA. Mike would be Mike Wodomski, Deputy Director of Public Affairs.
Can you address a little bit what it means to have the President issue an emergency declaration as opposed to a major disaster declaration?
He's not a reporter, but he's playing one on TV. And he's asked a question only a bureaucrat could love. So who came up with this nifty idea? Well, maybe FEMA was thinking about those Coors Light ads, where beer-crazed fans post questions to NFL coaches.
Hey, Coach! Those guys just took off with all your cold, refreshing Coors Light. Who do they think they are? They are who we thought they were.
Whose answers are dropped in from real press conferences. Today, the government was backpedaling faster than a center fielder under a long fly ball. Homeland Security called the briefing inexcusable. And at a White House briefing today, a spokesman had this to say.
We certainly don't condone it. We didn't know about it beforehand. FEMA has issued an apology saying that they had an error in judgment.
But Admiral Johnson, sir, we'd like your direct answer. What is the difference between a real news conference and a staged event with government bureaucrats?
It's like, is there day and is there night?
Thank you, sir. Jeff Greenfield, CBS News, New York. No, really.
Good to know. Coming up next, a school lunch surprise. Steve Hartman's Assignment America in a moment. Finally tonight, it wasn't on the menu, but the school lunch special was a hero. Here's Steve Hartman's Assignment America.
It was a lunch no one here at Griffin Creek Elementary in Medford, Oregon will soon forget. Especially not 9-year-old Harrison Weidman.
Dominic, right there. I'm sitting here.
And his buddy, Dominic Ramos.
Hey, Dominic. Hey, Harrison.
Witnesses say it started when Harrison forgot to chew a tortilla chip.
He took a bite of his nachos and he was choking, but the girls thought he was joking.
He was choking.
Joking. Not choking, joking.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dominic and Harrison say it's like that story.
Boy who cried wolf.
Apparently, Harrison is known for making this one particular funny face.
Your face is turning red right now. How you doing that?
I hold my breath and then push.
Which is why everyone at the table was laughing the day Harrison Weidman started choking for real. Everyone but his best friend, who knew something just wasn't right.
He was like going, like he could breathe in, but he couldn't breathe out. So he did that. He did the Heimlich remover.
Dominic had learned the technique from his grandpa. And would you believe?
The chip came out. Once they saw the chip coming out, they were just like, wow, he just saved his life. I started crying because I thought Harrison was gonna die, and it scared me.
You like Harrison?
Yes, he's fine.
Is he your boyfriend?
No.
Great job, young man. After the rescue, Dominic got a citation from the local fire department and a gaggle of groupies that seemed to follow him everywhere.
Do I know you? No.
What do people in school say now?
They're always calling us hero and victim.
Unfortunately, aside from having his life saved, Harrison has gotten very little out of the deal. I'm not saying he's tired of hearing about it.
How shocked I was.
But during Dominic's interview, he was checking the elasticity of his eyelid. Both eyelids, actually, and generally appeared to be done with it.
It just flies out. The chip flies out.
On the bright side, both boys agree the experience has brought them even closer, and they have certainly raised awareness for first aid training.
I think you're a hero, just for telling the story.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Two heroes, now with one undying friendship. And you'll be happy to know I talked to all the kids, and they say Dominic hasn't been the least bit braggy. He hasn't worn a giant S on his shirt or a cape to school, anything like that.
But he's definitely milking it, right?
He's enjoying it. He's happier than usual, the kids say.
And I love all the drawings with the jet flying out of the mouth.
Good.
And now all the kids know about the Heimlich remover, right?
Right.
Good.
They just don't know how to pronounce it.
So tell us about next week's story.
Okay. Next week, we have Picking Up Butch, a 42-year tradition that ensures Middlebury College's #1 fan never misses a game. If you know of a good story that you think deserves national attention, please go right now to cbsnews.com and click on Assignment America. And of course, don't forget to tune in for my next story right here next Friday night.
All right, Steve, thanks so much. And that is the CBS Evening News. I'm Katie Couric in New York. Thank you for watching this week. I'll see you on Monday. Until then, have a great weekend. Good night.